The Kevin Durant trade request, Perloff, just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. Like, we know that he gave the owner of the Brooklyn Nets an ultimatum. Either me or fire the head coach, who's, by the way, the former two-time MVP of the league, and the general manager. So obviously he's trying to force their hand. He wants to get a trade. But two things. Number one is that he wants to get traded to Boston as one of his teams he'd go to. But he also wants to play with Marcus Smart. So he's not only trying to get a trade out of Brooklyn, now he's also trying to dictate the terms of the trade. Even Kevin Durant, I don't think, has that much power. And then number two, we found out there was a surprise team in the mix for Durant. According to Ian Begley, it's your Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah. Now, Kevin, I know you watch a lot of TV. I want to talk to you directly.
Oh, wow. Straight up, you to Kevin? Oh,
no.
Man, and you brought the 76ers hat. You're not messing around.
Kevin, let's talk. Listen, you're a very sensitive person. I'm a very sensitive person. We are on the same wavelength. You live in Brooklyn right now. I live in Brooklyn. You're about 3 blocks away from me. You have actually seen footage of me playing pickup and made fun of it and said, you call that garbage basketball. That's a long story. But if you go to Philadelphia, we can get on the same page. I don't know if I'm looking at the right camera. There are 3 cameras in front of me.
You're good.
There's so many reasons, Maggie, to choose Philadelphia over Boston. First of all, cheesesteaks are the best food in the world. Much better. What do you have in Boston? Swordfish and baked beans? Terrible. Okay.
Lobster.
The movie Hustle is about the Sixers. It's one of the great sports movies of all time.
That I will
Probably the best sports movie of all time. What is this Celtics movie? It's called Celtic Pride. It's with Dan Aykroyd, Daniel Stern, and Damon Wayans.
Ooh, good cast.
Yeah, it was written by Judd Apatow and Colin Quinn. It was terrible. Basically, these 2 guys kidnap a basketball player. It doesn't even make sense. It's from the 80s or something. You know, in the 80s, they had all those bad sports movies.
Yeah.
That's a terrible movie, Kevin. You do not want to be associated with that. Then let's look at the team. Yes, the Celtics made the finals, but they were never going to win. Once the Warriors figured them out, it was over. They are not getting back. They are the latest one-and-done NBA Finals loser, much like the Suns and all the recent teams that got there, the Heat. No, this is the Sixers' time. They're due. They are really due. I mean,
They definitely haven't been in the finals in a long time. That's true.
Yeah, they're due, Maggie. They're the Washington Generals of the NBA right now. They're overdue. Joel Embiid. Okay, we're not going to have Tyrese Maxey, but we have Embiid, James Harden, your best friend. You were just seeing a Travis Scott concert. And obviously, you made a choice. And I've done this in my life, too. You had 2 friends. You had James Harden and Kyrie Irving. You hang out with James Harden. You put the Celtics on your team list to send a message to Kyrie Irving. You don't like him anymore. So come to Philly. You can stay at my parents' house. It's going to be awesome.
You know what? That sealed it.
We will go to we'll go to Ishkabibbles and get cheesesteaks. We'll get whatever you want. Me, you, and Joel. We can go down to the Jersey Shore. It's gonna be lovely.
Sure.
You can actually take Ben Simmons' house in South Jersey and live there. Just have to get rid of what is that?
Nick Castellanos.
Yeah. Oh, Nick Castellanos. But he left, I think.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. The Phillies are on a hot streak. There's so much going for Philadelphia right now. What do you think, Maggie? Did I sell KD on Philadelphia?
I don't know, man. I mean, I think staying at your parents' house was definitely a sell.
Yeah.
Because who wouldn't want to do that when you're a
Tom and
multi-millionaire?
Carol. You love Tom and Carol.
I do. I'd stay at their house, but, you know, my bank account
invited.
doesn't look like KD's. Here's my thing. Kevin Durant, these are your friends. Like, I know everyone's got friends that, you know, they might not want to own up to all the time. But, like, Kyrie, who is a bit of a wild card, and then James Harden, who literally quit on your team on the court. Maybe it's time for KD to find some new friends, you know?
You know who's a very nice gentleman? Joel Embiid.
I've heard he's nice.
He'd be a great friend.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, where I really need to do the selling is the 76ers package back to the Nets. It's
not awesome.
It's not awesome.
No, what kind of draft picks you guys including, you know?
Well, even the draft picks will be low. That's a problem with any team, but Tyrese Maxey is a really good player.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to me. Sixers fans are like, let's not include Tyrese Maxey in this KD package.
I don't think that's going to fly.
And even the Nets, like Tyrese Maxey is good. He's not Kevin Durant. Tobias Harris is a negative. His contract's a albatross. And then Matisse Thybulle is also a bit of a negative. So I don't know how the Celtics seem to have a lot more firepower.
You know, that's not the fun thing to talk about with this, though. Like, the fun thing to talk about is, like, KD, what the heck, man? Like, you're really going to go and play with James Harden. Listen, you guys want to go to a concert together. That's fine. Be friends with whoever you want to be friends with. But, like, dude just made you guys look like clowns. He just punked you by literally quitting and giving up on the team in order to get traded away. And then, like, even saddled the Nets and your team with Ben Simmons, who not only never played in a game, maybe left a group chat when he was even asked whether or not he was playing. Like, that's just dead weight right now. We don't know if Ben Simmons is ever going to play again. Like, the fact that someone would punk you like that and then you want to go join them, to me, it's like, I don't respect that.
I don't think he punked him. I think this was part of it. I don't think KD could leave midseason. I don't think he would have looked good doing that. I mean, Harden didn't look good. It would have been a disaster for KD. I think KD probably wanted out at that point. This is a Nets. I have no sympathy for them. They brought together a mercenary team. Yeah. Mercenaries leave. So there's no loyalty here. None of these guys
mercenaries leave after they sign a 4-year, $200 million contract.
None of these guys were homegrown. How could anybody feel bad for the Nets? I don't think anybody does feel bad for the Nets.
I don't know about if people feel bad for the Nets, but I'm just saying, like, KD, have a little pride, man.
I think he wanted, when Harden left, I'm sure he wanted to leave. And not to mention, just from a basketball standpoint, the Nets are a disaster. That was so embarrassing what happened in the playoffs. Everybody was covering KD. It was 5-on-1.
Okay, but there are other ways that you can try to make the team better, right? Your 76ers got better this offseason. People believe that they made good moves.
That is completely false. We got better with a 38-year-old PJ Tucker and Daniel House, who basically Daryl Morey helped out James Harden, who owed him a favor. How did we get better?
And also the Melton, whoever. You guys made some moves.
Yeah, we got a guy, DeAnthony Melton, a bench player. No,
what I'm
the
saying
Sixers
is
didn't get
you
better.
guys made moves that complemented superstars. And that's the same kind of thing that the Nets could have done. They got assets back in the Harden trade. Listen, taking Ben Simmons, that was the Nets had no leverage because Harden literally quit. Like, they were over a barrel at that trade deadline. I said it at the time, and it was true. They had to make that deal with the 76ers and bring back Simmons and then hope and pray. Like, there are still... Sean Marks actually, is not a bad GM. So there were moves to be made there. The fact is that you had KD and Kyrie on the court for that playoff series against the Boston Celtics, and you got swept, but you still had KD and Kyrie. Kyrie, great game one. They end up losing, and where did he really go the rest of the series? Yeah. At some point, too, the superstars, KD played well. Kyrie, only played well in one game.
That roster was a nightmare by the end. And there was a point. Remember they were
because they kept bringing in and they kept moving guys because of KD's will.
It was a terrible roster around them. The Nets were done. They're done. Time to rip the Band-Aid and get it over with. I know you don't have draft picks, but there's nothing that can be done here to save the Nets. And it's better for the average NBA fan who's not a Nets fan or a Sixers fan or a Celtics fan if he gets out of there and we get to see KD back in the mix.
Right. You're right. For the average fan, you're right about that. But there also is a lot of KD to the average fan is also really polarizing, because he is an all-time talent and because he is all-time first team, first ballot, just aware and of what everyone's saying about him. And so with somebody who's that, I hate to use the word sensitive because I don't know how much it means to him, but he's just very aware of the conversation that's happening. And what he's been fighting against is leaving your team to go join a super team. So now you're going to what? Leave another team where you were calling the shots on everything to go join what will be deemed a super team. If KD actually went to the 76ers, who do you think is going to lead the odds, the NBA odds? It's going to be the 76ers.
Yeah, assuming Embiid is not part of the trade package. Yes, of course.
Of course. So you join another super team. Congrats. You just double down on the biggest criticism that everybody has that you apparently are so aware of. That's the part of this also that just stinks from the KD perspective. And then you're going to have more of bus rider and more and more and more. Your career in some ways is going to be so clouded by that because you're an all-time great player and everyone gives you your flowers for being such a great player, yet you are also just fighting constantly about your legacy because of the decisions you've made.
I think there are a couple reasons KD could skate a little more than some other players on this one.
What's that?
Because he was killed because he left Oklahoma City. We don't like when the guy leaves his first team. Anthony Davis when he left New Orleans, Shaq when he left Orlando, that was complicated. But that's
LeBron,
a much more
obviously.
LeBron the first time was the big deal. Every time LeBron left after that, it didn't have the same energy.
Every time he left. The other time. When he left Miami, you mean?
He left Miami, went to Cleveland. Then he left Cleveland, went to L.A.
Yeah, well, he got smarter about it where he would leave, like, sort of, he would kind of get the public ready for it. Like, everyone knew he was going to L.A.
Well, he shocked everyone. Cleveland was a shock.
No, Cleveland was shocked, and then subsequently he would
He was working on L.A., but I think the sting is gone the second time you move. KD, I don't think everyone's going to be up in arms if KD. First of all, I keep saying this is not a strong fan base. It's a transient fan base.
Right.
It's not like
but
leaving.
KD's a national story.
Right. But he's not leaving. He's not leaving a cute little team. He's leaving a team that tried to go for the super team and failed. I don't think there's a lot of sympathy for the Nets. So I think people. I don't think people are going to kill KD. Believe it or not, I think they killed him way more for leaving OKC.
Yeah, I just think it's a doubling down. Like, you left and now this is just who you are. Because the same people who would say, like, he's not going to get killed as much if he leaves the Brooklyn Nets for another super team are the same people who will say that if he had won a title in Brooklyn, it would have meant more than the Warriors. Because he was the guy there, right? And it was undisputed. It
was a noble experiment. It did not work.
Noble experiment.
But you're telling me which team of these is a dream team? Maybe the Sixers with Harden and Embiid. That's got dream team feel. The Celtics are not a dream team.
Also,
it'd be Tatum and Durant, and who else? And Peyton Pritchard? What's a dream team about that?
What? Well, we know that Durant likes the coach, Ime Udoka.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
Who outcoached Steve Nash.
That's certainly not the Miami Heat. That's sort of a thin roster. It's not an easy title for KD in Boston.
You might be right about that, but he's like, obviously, it's just what's most recent with KD, right?
Yeah.
Celtics in the finals. Want to go to the Celtics. Suns were in the finals. Want to go to the Suns.
And by the way, KD.
Miami Heat.
Right.
Just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's go there.
We know that KD is not the best GM. He wants to play with Marcus Smart. I don't know. And
here's the other part, too. Like, what makes KD... So now, if you were the 76ers, you had KD and James Harden on your roster. So you got two wild cards there. And then what makes anyone think that, like, KD is going to be satisfied or content with any place he goes? Like, honestly, this is a guy who should just be going every year, play somewhere different. Like, let's take mercenary and let's just make this thing to the nth degree. Just like, you know what, KD, this year you get to play on this team, and next year you get to play on another, and next year you get to play on another, because it doesn't seem like he really loves being anywhere more than a year, besides Oklahoma City, where he started his career.
He's been on 3 teams.
Yeah, but after the first championship with the Warriors, it basically took a couple months before it started going downhill. I guess it was in that second year is when they started.
So we had 3 years at Golden State.
2 of them were good. One of them was weird.
He's been arguably more loyal than your guy LeBron. LeBron's been on.
LeBron stays places 4 years.
Yeah, but so KD, there's only basically, okay, so he stayed at Golden State for 3 years, or was he there?
Yeah,
now he's been in Brooklyn for 3 years.
Yeah, 1 year he didn't play. He was coming off an Achilles.
It's not that different.
No, but I'm saying, like, I don't think that this guy, I think it's hard to be satisfied for him. It didn't seem like he was even all that happy when they were winning titles in Golden State.
Because
he was,
That's probably okay. If
he was worried that the media was trying to pit him and Steph against each other, or whatever was in Ethan Sherwood Strauss's book.
You're ripping him for this move, but if you're his friend and Katie calls you and says, Maggie, what do you think I should do here? I think I have an opportunity to get out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Should I know the PR might not be great.
Yeah.
Should I press it?
No, I would say you have so much power in the organization. Why don't you just continue to try to build something in Brooklyn?
That's a pipe dream. There's nothing they can do. But bring in more Goran Dragic, his mid-30s. Bring in, is Paul Millsap still floating around?
Well, maybe he could have tried
Griffin?
to make it work with James Harden. Maybe things would have been different.
Yeah.
He's about to go. If he does go to the 76ers, what is the difference? He would want to play with James Harden in Brooklyn. What's the difference between the 76ers? Why? Because Embiid's there?
That's a huge difference.
No, I get it, but you're still you're still attaching your career and your title aspirations to somebody who you were just playing with and it wasn't working out.
No, but you're not attaching. You're attaching your title aspirations to Embiid, and Harden happens to be there. Embiid's a huge step up from Kyrie.
No,
Massive.
Of course. He's an MVP candidate.
Yeah, I think, can you imagine trying to stop a team with Embiid and KD? That's a serious matchup problem.
You know what else Embiid could be, though, and I'd be a little worried? Embiid comes off to me as impressible.
Yeah.
And
so KD's one of the hardest workers in NBA history. What's wrong with that?
And one of the most, yes, one of the hardest workers. You're right about that. But also somebody clearly who, has issues with management at times and other things. Like, KD's not the perfect role model.
Okay, the one thing that the Sixers need is somebody will take the ball out of Embiid's hands because he holds it at the top of the key for about 16 seconds. And then Harden holds the ball too. I just want KD, whatever he did with the Warriors, bring that to the Sixers.
Okay.
Move the ball. That's the problem. And it comes out of coaching. The other question is, at the end of the day, is Doc Rivers going to get this job done? That's my other thing that I'm nervous about.
Listen, if KD's picking the coach, you're just going to have to pick another one in a couple of years because he wants Steve Nash fired. Remember, the Nets weren't even going to have a coach. They were going to coach on vibes.
Or Sean Marks. He didn't necessarily say that he wanted Steve Nash fired.
Right. It could be the GM.
That is, by the way, one of the brilliant passive-aggressive moves.
Man.
Okay, break up the GM and the coach. Do we know which one he doesn't like, or is it's just when they're together?
No, that's the naked sort of like play that this was, just to make this maximum messy and try to make it maximum that the owner has to trade you, is because you don't even care which one it is.
Can I tell you
just one of them's got to go. You pick. I don't care. Make the owner have to do the firing. Oh, it's so dirty.
This is how this is going to play out, by the way.
Yeah.
If KD comes to Philadelphia, I will forget everything he ever did.
You did call him washed. We should find that audio if KD goes to Philly.
If he goes to Boston, then he is the most evil player in the entire NBA. And if he ends up going to a third team that's, say, out west, then I'll forget this ever happened and just watch the season.
I love it. Thank you. I think that's going to be awesome. Yeah, somebody who favors Philadelphia over Boston, the moment that Bill Russell's number gets retired throughout the NBA, he's like, what? They didn't do it for Dr. J.
No, I'm saying
that's what your response
I'm not saying they didn't do it for Dr. J. Dr. J is the most famous 6 that I knew of. I didn't know Bill Russell was number 6 until I never saw Bill Russell. I didn't see a lot of Dr. J, but I don't know. It's weird. I'm getting killed on Twitter for that. But you have to understand.
It's quite a take. It is quite a take.
In Philadelphia, obviously, when LeBron went to number 6, no one thought, oh, he's being Bill Russell. Everyone's like, oh, of course he is. Everyone wanted 6 because he's Dr. J. And LeBron's like, yeah, I did that because of Dr. J. So now 6 is retired for Bill Russell. What happened to all the people who have number 6 jerseys for Dr. J?
It's such a crazy hill to die on, but I feel like you're going to die on it.
No, nobody. First of all, Twitter might kill me for this, but the rest of the planet does not care about that stuff at all.
Yeah, okay, the rest of the planet. But we play in the sandbox. Thank God we don't have to play with the rest of the
I do not play in
the rest of the planet.
Yeah, I do not play in this guy thing. Like, come on. The people who are killing me on Twitter. Do you think, honestly, people are really upset because I said Dr. J should not be forgotten in this conversation? That's just a way to say,
no, it wasn't.
Oh, I'm so
Philly. It's not that you say that Dr. J, of course, should be remembered. He's amazing. Dr. J is the best. But it's just funny to say it
now.
Not 1 minute after the NBA says we're going to retire for Bill Russell. It's not like, they're retiring it for some nobody. It's one of the legends of the game. But it seems like you have a problem with it.
Oh, by the way, Dr. J spoke out in an interview earlier this week and said he was not necessarily all for this. This is interesting. I'm telling you, this is going to become a thing. You think, you laugh, people are going to sit back a month later and say, wait a second, we retired number 6 all around the league. And yeah, what about LeBron?
What do you mean, what about LeBron?
I mean, he's number 6 too.
Yeah. He gets to wear it.
But
he's grandfathered in.
The NBA, I know he gets to wear it, but the NBA is going to say forever, all number 6s were an homage to Bill Russell. What about all the guys who have number 6? It's just weird. It's just a bizarre situation.
And it's
to me.
Amazing hill to die on. And I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be awesome.
But I'll tell you, people are going to be with me, Maggie. Right now, it's August 11th. Give it 6 months. People say, wait a second. We retired number 6 for Bill Russell everywhere. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm sure this is what we're going to be talking about in 6 months. We should package that plea to Kevin Durant and try to tag him in it as many times. Make sure he sees it. We know he's watching, but just to make sure it doesn't get past his timeline.
Why'd you have to tell everyone that I said he was washed? That was just because the players around him were bad.
Because you said it.
He looked really bad.
Also, I love the who thought the Celtics were winning the finals? I think that was you, considering you had to dump a cowboy hat full of barbecue sauce on your head because of that prediction. Small details.
I think it's time for a break. Break
Get
time.
The break sign. You're right. Thank you for watching our video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, just hit the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Just hit the bell.